Helicopters are GTA Online's premier utility vehicle. Well, okay, they used to be. Now they are kind of the red-headed stepchild that Rockstar fucking despises, apparently. See, I love making videos about the varied and wonderful sandbox of GTA Online. It's like my favorite thing to do in life. But there are unmistakable obstacles and issues that are in the game that need to be reworked or rebalanced before that wonderful sandbox can be realized. And helicopters are a part of that wonderful sandbox. Helicopters sit between planes and cars as having the mobility of aircraft, but having the convenience of cars. Yeah, when you think about it, helicopters are just kind of flying cars. I mean, planes are kind of flying cars. Everything is a flying car, except normal cars. Unless you're drunk. The biggest obstacle to helicopters in general, well, okay, there's two. One is sort of the PvP obstacle, and one is the grinding obstacle. Well, let's flip those. We'll tackle grinding first. See, when it comes to grinding, helicopters are kind of supposed to be that grinding vehicle because they're convenient. Grinding just kind of comes down to doing the same missions over and 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 over. You just go back and forth from area to area, kill the enemies, pick up a thing, go back to your property. Helicopters kind of kick ass at that. But you know the wonderful part too is that anytime a helicopter's around, it's actually pretty fun to fight. They have weak spots, they have momentum, they have reads. It's a dance, right? There is a dance with helicopters for both the opponent and the user, whichever one you are. It's kind of awesome. You know it's not awesome? Fighting a Mark II, or a Deluxo, or a fucking Raiju. Yeah, that's right, Raiju hate never stops. We hate the Raiju in its current form. It just needs to be reworked. I really want to like it, to be honest. See, there are vehicles that just do the helicopter's job better than the helicopter, but they also are so good that they tend to overstep on the rest of the sandbox. But their overpoweredness is often justified by the fact that, hey, they're good at grinding. Okay, well, see, there's kind of an issue with the fact that the vehicle you're using to grind is better than anything you could grind for. It kind of de-incentivizes grinding. You know, you have a low level who gets into the game is like, oh, okay, I should just get the Mark II because everyone says get the Mark II. And then they get a bunch of sports cars with all the money they grind. They're like, huh, you know, none of these are nearly as fast or convenient as that Mark II that I started the game with. This game's fucking gay. All right, maybe it doesn't happen that quickly, but I'm pretty firm in saying that GTA has gotten pretty damn stale with people just using these exact vehicles over and over, and I'm not doing it again. And that moves to PvP. PvP is the highest form of enjoying GTA Online. I know, I'm schizo, and that is probably my most schizo thing. But all right, let me cook, all right? I have the talking stick, shut the fuck up. When it comes to experiencing Grand Theft Auto, if you want a single player experience, you go to single player, the story mode. You know, the whole reason this game is so popular. And if you want a PvE experience, I wouldn't call this the game for it. I would play like Wildlands or Titanfall 2 Frontier Defense. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to fit Titanfall 2 into this script. The PvE in this game frankly sucks. I would never justify any balance for the game to the PvE, except maybe like 2 Smugglers Run missions or like one of the survivals, but if that's what you think GTA Online is supposed to be, I'm worried about you and someone should lock you up in an insane asylum because you're cray-cray. But PvP is where the depth really happens. Like, the idea of this game is to have a massive list of vehicles and tools and equipment custom to you and your hobbies and your interests. And when you build that crazy list of funny vehicles and pit them against each other in all PvP, I'm talking about drift races, stunt races, air races, dogfights, gunfights, fucking RNG, base, fucking golf. Golf is PvP.
There you go, Buster. There's your invite. Now stop talking.
KFC is so mid-NG.
I'm not joining no fucking golf. You fucking chode. I'm not joining no golf.
You fucking scared.
I don't
you
do
don't even
golf.
stand a chance.
You don't even nigga.
You ain't shit. You don't matter. You never matter.
But honestly, and being real with you guys for a sec, that's kind of one of the biggest points of this channel and what I like to talk about. I know that the game that I was introduced to is not the same game that everybody else is being introduced to now, all the new players that have joined us in the past 2 or 3 years. The reason that I have 4,000 hours on this game and not in fucking Ace Combat or War Thunder despite being an aviation nerd is because there is an experience that does not exist in any other game. It's not about bringing a plane to a plane fight or a car to a race. It's about bringing a fucking Vespa to fight an attack helicopter. It's about bringing a Ripsaw to dogfight a plane. It's about that craziness because when you realize that there are all these vehicles with all their own metas and all their own unique attributes, and when you go into free mode and you throw them at each other, when you really experience a fight like that, where there's no Mark IIs screwing it up, there's nobody in God mode, when the game is performing as it accidentally came to be, you get addicted to it. And you realize that this is an experience like no other. But unfortunately, that kind of experience has just been disappearing, and players are not encouraged to experience the game in that way. A player that might have deep dived the world of, I don't know, planes, you know, a player that would get a plane for dogfighting, like, I don't know, the Pyrogue? The Rogue? Yeah, apparently I'm the Rogue guy now. I just want to remind everybody my plane is the Pyro, but I appreciate the thought. You get that for dogfighting, or you want something for grinding, you get the Molotov. That's right, it does land good. The Molotov is good for grinding. That variety that you could deep dive and enjoy and make a fucking personality out of, like, ya boy. Now it just comes down to VTOLing around in a Raiju and hit and runs off the radar. And people wonder why nobody even bothers with planes anymore, besides the railgun, which just needs to go. I don't think I need to make a fucking video essay on that. I will. And so the ideal GTA in my mind that would preserve this PvP sandbox is one where the Raiju's just reworked and nerfed a little. The Deluxo, for example, is given barrage rockets or something other than those goddamn missiles. Yes, you can kill Deluxos. Of course you can kill Deluxos. Everybody knows how to kill Deluxos. It's been 5 to 6 years it's been in the game, but fuck if it's not just less fun when one's around. In the Mark II, Thanos snapped that shit. Just get rid of it. Because while I do understand for the players that if these vehicles were nerfed or removed, grinding might feel like there was an empty void and now it's harder, that, my friends, is where helicopters come in. The OG grinding vehicle. Now, I don't want to focus on those vehicles that need to be reworked. They do, and I want to make a video about that and all of the vehicles that are like that, because there are more. But this video isn't for that. This video is for PvP players looking for a challenge, because maybe they're not completely unviable. And it wouldn't matter because you're all fucking psychopaths, looking for the next thing to autistically hyper-focus and spend hours and hours mastering. My friends, helicopters are still a part of this sandbox, and this sandbox is here to stay. And I'm not going to pretend like this was the intro, because that would mean this is like a fucking 20-minute intro or whatever I cut this down to. But let's take a lukewarm dive into the most notable helicopters in GT Online. Some are copy and paste, some aren't worth mentioning, and some give Gilly Master an aneurysm. But for our first entry, we'll be looking into everyone's favorite helicopter in the game, the Sea Sparrow. The Savage, I think, is a good place to start because its progression through the game has been kind of reflective of what the state of PvP is like, especially for helicopters. While it might not be the best, the helicopter has been there for the PvP community since the PvP scene started. As it would turn out, when you put the unmatched power of the sun on a Mi-24, you tend to attract players. Now, originally, I would not imagine fighting this thing was very fun. I got here like in 2018, so I don't know what it was like when this was the only helicopter. All I know is that before rocket slinging was a popularized thing, yeah, that probably wasn't very fun. But as the sandbox matured, the Savage found itself in a pretty good place. And even now, when, you know, you're just in a strictly vehicle fight and there's not a Mark II sneaking up behind you, or even sometimes you can deal with those, the Savage is still pretty fun and kicks a lot of ass. Genuinely. Because, I mean, as it would turn out, being the only vehicle now with the OG Kill a Meme Beam, you can yeah, no, I mean, it is unfortunate to say that flying this thing around is a lot harder than it used to be. Even when you do manage to kill a vehicle, someone's gonna just teleport to the ground and railgun you, and this thing is not fast or agile. It is a fat frick, and if you're using this thing around the city, you better learn to weave this thing through buildings, and doing that is like trying to butt fuck a I was gonna make a Generation Kill reference, but that line is not as YouTube friendly as I remember it being. It's not easy. The Savage now is a vehicle that needs to be supplemented by others. It's more of a power-up that you need to pull out whenever someone's using a very, very armored vehicle. Frankly, I think this is the only thing that'll consistently kill, like a Night Shark, for example. The Savage really just comes down to putting a helicopter in the right place at the right time and hosing a motherfucker down with Boom Boom. In terms of vehicle fights, it's pretty decent against other helicopters. It's good against planes if they're stupid, and again, it is the answer to the ridiculously armored vehicles that are all over free mode now. So if you want to live your Outer Heaven Peace Walker fantasies, Savage is still pretty there for you. It's just, you need to be very, very aware, and you will still probably die. It's like almost mogul tier when it comes to low altitude at this point, and I'm sorry to say that. the MF AKULA. Motherfucking China copter, alright? Bing chilling. The AKULA is by far like the most fun you can have of all these helicopters. I'm just gonna say that outright. Like, okay, take Freddy for example, Deluxoism. You've seen him all over my videos, and that dude does not just show up when I need to like film stuff. That dude shows up out of like fucking nowhere. Like actually, I will literally just be like in a fight and like be ground fighting, and then suddenly the person I'm gunfighting will get turned into a small wall of explosions and leave the game to presumably change their pants. Because Freddy had quietly joined the game and pulled up at Mach 2, covered that dude in barrage rockets, and flown off while being on the radar for like half a second. Call his ass Freddy Fazbear, that motherfucker a whole jump scare. Barrage rockets on the AKULA are ridiculous fun. If you are very skilled like he is, you can even kill Mark IIs with this while they're circling you. A good, agile, armored helicopter that can pop off the radar is kinda crazy. And to illustrate the fun you can have with this thing, I will tell you a grand tale behind this color scheme. You will notice it is very, very blue, which is not my usual color. In fact, it's a different, much bigger YouTuber's color who we've already mentioned in this video, Gilbert Master. Yeah, and that is the OG Ghillie Blue. See, back in the olden days when MSTR was an actual crew that played together, I was a proud warrior of Ghillie Master. And then eventually I got disavowed from the division because I was a fucking punk child. And so I decided to enact my goofiness upon the crew. And they knew who I was. You know, the name Black Prince AD lives in infamy. And so I would go in their lobbies and just be off the radar on this thing. And they'd be like, well, that's blue, so that cannot be the villain. And naturally I could, you know, sneak up on people and subloin them. Oh my god, we actually had so much fucking fun. I had buddies that would come with me too. And we didn't want to grief cargo, you know. It's mean, but we weren't above fucking with cargo. And so we would like all fly at max and get above somebody doing like vehicle cargo. And then we'd all pop on radar. So they'd be like, oh shit. And they would like swerve into a pole or something like that. And it was like assisted self-griefing. Yeah, we were assholes. I wholeheartedly encourage you to have an AKULA. Honestly, you should just have an AKULA. You can still have that kind of fun to this day. Moving on to the next helicopter, we'll be discussing one that was a very pleasant surprise and that I didn't originally plan to put in this video. That helicopter being the super duper OG, the Buzzard is as OG as it gets, even more so than the Savage. This shit was in GTA 4. Now the main reason I say I wasn't originally going to put in this video was I've never really viewed them as anything viable or really a threat to me. And so despite hearing multiple times throughout the times I've played this game that it's still pretty decent, I've never really believed it. But when I went into Canucks Discord and I was asking people, hey, do any of you know any helicopter experts for me to consult on a unnamed video? All arrows pointed to a certain very, very small time YouTuber named Buzzard MGs or Gaz. Now there is a lot of snake oil in this community. You'll meet a lot of experts who more or less just get really lucky with vehicles that are off meta and make kill compilations out of them. But in terms of like actually PvPing, 9 out of 10 times they lose. Which, not that there's anything wrong with just playing around with goofy vehicles and uploading when you get silly kills. But sometimes people will take these cherry-picked clips and present themselves or accidentally be seen as using a very, very viable vehicle. For example, you could definitely watch my Mogul video and think, oh, the Mogul's like the best vehicle in the game, when in reality you didn't see the hours and hours and hours of horrible deaths that went into making that video. That was what I expected with the Buzzard, another Mogul type vehicle that is just silly. No, not at all. Oh my god, this dude is fucking cracked. He's clips upon clips of consistently shooting off Mark IIs. He has uncut like 5-minute videos where he's just flying around the city popping motherfuckers. He even has a video on how he practices with free fires, which simple repetitive practice is like the golden juice to making somebody good. It absolutely inspired me to pick up the Buzzard. And oh my god, this thing is fun. Like it is a very high difficulty, you know. Not that the armor really helps most helicopters, but you don't have any. One railgun and you're dead. You also have the biggest fishbowl cockpit to get sniped out of. But especially against other vehicles, it shouldn't be as good as it is. Like I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like there's no way I'm going to survive fighting this jet. If I was in that jet, I would fucking annihilate this Buzzard. But as it would turn out, that's usually not the case. Now the Buzzard's overall performance is pretty damn good. It's very fast, it's very agile, and it's probably one of the easiest helicopters to dodge missiles with, especially once you know the angles. The The missiles are very, very long range. They're the laser type missiles, which I don't think are on a single other helicopter. But as Rotor Lord Gaz has taught me, it is not the missiles that makes you a Buzzard Lord, it is the miniguns. Dude, these miniguns are fucking cracked. I have been sleeping on these things for years. There's like a Buzzard flow that is just unique to the helicopter, and it is amazing time. Chances are you probably own this thing, and relatively speaking, it's a pretty damn cheap vehicle, especially considering you don't even need a hangar to own it. I cannot recommend the Buzzard enough. This is like the tool for pros. This is the North Star of helicopters. Also, a huge shout out to Gaz, because he told me that you can change your view to hood view, and when you use hood view, you can still edit in Rockstar Editor, because Rockstar Editor cuts off the clip from editing when you go into first person, but hood view doesn't count as that. That made this video so much easier, it's not even funny. Thank you so much, Gaz. Please go check out his channel. And next I want to talk about the, oh, holy shit. Holy fuck, Lois. Holy shit. Oh fuck, oh shit, dude. I'ma keep it real with Boeing. I am ready to die for the American global oil empire. The helicopter that started it all. For me, at least. After all, it was the prized ride of my father, Project Helisexuality. Watching him kick ass in this helicopter back in the day was one of my defining PvP entry gateway drugs. And I think it's that way for a lot of players. The Hunter is just a staple of PvP. It is the Apache attack helicopter, dude. It is the fucking Taliban liquefier. Dear God, do I love this thing. And it's not like it's easy, you know, the railgun is still a problem, everything else is still a problem, but I don't know if you can possibly diminish the fun of getting a gunner in this thing and turning the entire lobby into Siege of Shanghai 24/7. The admins are not here to save you, motherfucker. Mark II, bop. Armored vehicles, bop. Plane, bop. Remember, kids, any player who runs is a griefer, and any player who stands still is an AFK griefer. Kill fucking everything. And if you don't have friends, okay, the devs don't want you to know this, but the low levels are free. You can take them. I have 25 low levels at home. Just land by one, wait for their murderous urges to leave their body, and for them to recognize that the superior violence is in your gunner seat. You can always count on a low level to just be excessively violent for no reason. Honestly, when it comes to everything but like railguns and E-rounds, the Hunter just kicks a lot of ass in PvP. It's like an A-tier vehicle in almost every matchup. Just, like, it never gets old. It really never gets old. And the last helicopter I want to touch on isn't really a PvP vehicle, but illustrates my first point very, very well. That being the Sparrow. Despite the fact that I'm bringing it up last, the Sparrow is by far like the most used helicopter by very, very far. You see them all over the place. And this thing existing is proof to me that you could remove the Mark II and no negative impact would come to the game, only positive. The Mark II and the Sparrow are identical in almost every way relevant to grinding or just general free mode. Both of them will spawn on the street next to you. Both of them are very small and quick and easy to get around in, and are able to just sit back and clear ads by spamming missiles. In a lot of these regards, actually, the Sparrow is better. It doesn't take up a personal vehicle slot and has infinite missiles. But the biggest difference, and the reason a lot of people still use the Mark II, is because the Mark II is this zippy, annoying little creative mode shit that's annoying to kill people off of and very easy to kill people while using, even still. I mean, you just imagine fighting either of these. Which one do you have an easier and more interesting time fighting against? Which one ruins your day more often and annoys you more often? The Sparrow is the grinding vehicle. It should be. You could still have the interest of getting into other helicopters for grinding or any other purposes, but the Sparrow can just be here as the defined grinding vehicle, and you could rework and nerf all of the before mentioned vehicles. It is probably one of the best additions to the game in recent years. I adore this helicopter, genuinely. Fucking, we are Sparrow stands over here. Alright, fucking love the Sparrow. For now, I think that about wraps us up. and I just want to talk to you guys really for a sec, so I hope you don't mind me just throwing in gameplay footage. So this was a very short introduction video to helicopters, and it's a topic I still want to explore more. So if you're sitting here worried that maybe I'm not gonna like make more helicopter videos, like the Hunter, for example, because I talked about it, no, like I'd still love to make a Hunter video or something along those lines. I wish I had more time to explore these, but I really wanted to get you guys a video while I was on break. For those of you that don't know, I'm currently doing we'll say job training, and so I'm very, very busy, and particularly for the next few months I will be in the middle of that, so there is no guarantee if I will be able to make any videos, but at very least, like worst case scenario, by like early middle this year I'll already be back at it with a very consistent upload schedule and, you know, twice as much enthusiasm. And yeah, speaking of the channel, yeah, hi, 21,000 of you. I don't know where y'all came from, but I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad I entertain you. If any of you were watching this video and you liked what I was saying, remember Rockstar's feedback page is always open. Voice yourself and make yourself heard. I would love if this game was left in a better state than it's currently in before 6 comes out. I don't think 6 is going to be anything like 5, and honestly, 5 is the game I fell in love with. I will probably make videos about 5 long after 6 comes out. I firmly believe it'll exist on its own, just like GTA 4 still does to some capacity, and there's still a lot of lore and topics I want to discuss. But into the future, I will catch you guys when I catch you. Hopefully, I can squeeze out a video sooner than I expect to. God bless, have a happy new year, and yeah, thank you for watching.